I hope that it doesn't escalate, but it'll certainly be an interesting 2 weeks in China if it does.
An interesting choice of vacation destinations. I think Switzerland was better last year when you went there, Paul. And it's closer to home, safer. But yeah, I think you ought to cancel that trip if this continues to escalate. Maybe go take a few days off. Of course, you still write stories. You can't control yourself when you do take off 2 weeks a year for your holiday. I'm about to have to cancel my little 2-day fishing trip. My wife and kids are already on their way out to a cabin, and I'm calling them up saying, I don't think I'll be there. We'll see what happens. The point is, the reason I might as well stay here is that even if I leave town and Burmese is in here sitting in, I'll just be down the street on a landline calling in at a hotel room to the show. So one way or the other, I'll be here the next 2 days. Watson, if you look at how World War I started with the assassination of the Crown Prince of the Austrian-Hungarian Empire, if you look at how World War II started, if you look at how they prod and manipulate, they first build up enemies. The globalists built up Hitler and then went after him. They built up North Korea going after him, build up Pakistan, build up Iran. I mean, it's the same story over and over again. These bankers literally build the Soviets so they can be an enemy. The CIA funds Castro and then supposedly loses control of him. They do the same thing over and over and over again, and there's no doubt that they armed North Korea. There's no doubt they armed Pakistan. The Pakistani president goes on TV and says the West is controlling Taliban and al-Qaeda to commit assassinations and destabilize the government. Only about a third, most of the populous cities, so it's most of the population, but it's about a third of the geography. I've seen the maps of what Pakistan even controls today, and they're losing control of their nation, just like Russia lost control of Afghanistan to CIA-controlled operatives. And, we're not defending Pakistan or defending Russia. Facts are facts. And then our media has such contempt for the American people that they tell us Taliban and al-Qaeda are with the Pakistani government. I mean, how asinine is that? And they clearly launched the attacks on India. And we had the former head of Pakistani intelligence, Hamid Gul, on breaking that down. I mean, it's the same MO over and over. Clearly looking at this picture, they're trying to make the entire world descend into regional conflicts, and then NATO and the United States will play the part of saviors. Your take on that, Watson, and then let's get into who gave them the nukes.
Well, that's right. It's called order out of chaos. And this is why the major international arms smugglers are always protected at every turn by the military-industrial complex and U.S. intelligence agencies, namely Dr. A.Q. Khan, the father of Pakistan's atom bomb, who admitted in 2004 that he was the leader of a worldwide arms smuggling network that passed on both information related to construction of nuclear weapons, and also he had several front companies that manufactured key parts for centrifuges, which operated out of Dubai. And of course, these front companies shipped these nuclear components to Iran, Libya, and North Korea. Now, I've posted on prisonplanet.com about 20 minutes ago an article first written in October 2006, because it's more relevant than ever today, written by Greg Pallas, called How George Bush Gave Crazy Kim the Bomb. And it discusses the fact that before 9/11, and the memo was released after 9/11 by Greg Pallas via BBC Newsnight, top-level U.S. intelligence agent told Pallas and gave him documents proving it, that the FBI were issued by higher-ups a, quote, back-off directive, not only to people connected with the 9/11 patsy hijackers, so their movements couldn't be traced. And
W199I.
W199I. And also within W199I was an order to, quote, back off Khan Labs Pakistan the bomb. That's a direct quote out of the memo. Khan Labs Pakistan the bomb. So here you have, shortly before 9/11, in 2001, the FBI being ordered to back off A.Q. Khan while he was conducting this illegal international arms smuggling operation and giving nuclear technology and nuclear secrets not only to Iran but also to North Korea. And it goes back even further than that, because as far back as 1975 and also again in 1983, Dr. A.Q. Khan kept coming and going out of Holland, which made the Dutch authorities deeply suspicious of what he was up to. And they tried to arrest him for questioning in 1975 and 1983, but on both occasions the CIA intervened and said, leave him alone. And the Dutch authorities were prevented from arresting A.Q. Khan. And the former Dutch Prime Minister said, quote, the man was followed for almost 10 years, and obviously he was a serious problem. But again, I was told that the secret services could handle it more effectively. And he later stated that Khan was allowed to slip in and out of the Netherlands with the blessing of the CIA.
And the evidence goes on and on in your articles you've got up at prisonplanet.com. Another facet to that is the fact that we have ABB. It's not enough to have the technology and the know-how and the centrifuges. You need the fissile material. You need the uranium, the plutonium, and the reactors. And that was ABB. And who was the head of ABB? The European company, the Swiss company, when it transferred the systems in the mid-1990s. It all got blamed on Bill Clinton, and he was certainly part of it. And Daschle was involved as well, mafia boss he is. But the bagman was good old Donald Rumsfeld.
That's right, and this was in 2000, 2 years before North Korea was declared part of the axis of evil by George Bush in his State of the Union speech. Now,
and then you've got Halliburton giving the nuke parts. You can't make this up. This is Associated Press. Halliburton goes, oh, well, we have a special allowance. We're allowed to give the nuke parts to Iran. I mean, folks, they're not patriots. They're here to suck you dry. The government doesn't care about you. They're a mafia. Go ahead.
Yeah, Rumsfeld was asked about that in 2002 when it came out. And he basically said he just doesn't remember. But then he had people who were on the board of ABB with him. Rumsfeld was an executive director getting paid nearly $200,000 a year, who said that he directly lobbied other war hawks to get the deal done, to get the light water reactors sold to North Korea. And at the time, the excuse was that light water reactors can't be used to make nuclear weapons, which is a bit of a strange thing to say when the United States at the time was, and still is today, chastising Iran for having light water reactors. But in the case of North Korea, they claimed they couldn't make nuclear weapons.
Well, there's also a different type of light waters, the type that, according to the weapons inspectors and physicists, that Iran has can be used, but it's very hard. The type of light waters given to North Korea by ABB and the West are the perfect type.
Henry Sokolsky, I've quoted in the article, head of the Non-Proliferation Policy Education Center, said, light water reactors could be used to produce dozens of bombs worth of weapons-grade plutonium in both North Korea and Iran. This